Yo, what's up, y'all? It's RICKSHON doing RICKSHON's Music Talk. It's a new thing I got going. Pretty much it's gonna be me talking to whoever's watching about my perspective on music and business side of music. You know what I mean? I figured like I had to do something, extra just for, content purposes to help, push the brand, what I mean, the RICKSHON Entertainment brand. So, why am I talking about music? You know what I mean? Or why should you even care what I have to say about music? I got about 19 years in, I want to say, professionally trying to, do this business. You know what I mean? I say professionally because, like most people that's in music, we've been doing this probably our whole lives, you know what I mean, since 3-4 years old. But at a certain point when you decide, okay, I want to make this a profession, that's when I feel like the clock starts, you know what I mean, on a different level. So I made that decision, pretty much 19 years ago. And yeah, it's been quite a journey at this point. You know what I mean? Just for give people a little quick background, you know what I mean? Like I'm originally from Lang City, New Jersey. That's like South Jersey if you're not familiar. I was born in Neptune Township, which is like middle, almost North Jersey kind of. And yeah, I grew up there from Venice Park. I used to live in a place called Lang City Apartments, but now it's like Atlantic Gardens, I think they call it. You know what I mean, but I've always had like my own room at Venice Park at my grandmother's house, so that's like my like official like neighborhood. Because my mom is from that neighborhood, my dad is actually from that neighborhood, so like like both of my families come from the same neighborhood in Atlantic City. So it's kind of like if you was somebody from Cali, like and you was from like Nickerson Gardens or like Hoover or whatever, like it's that type of thing where it's like your mom and dad is from the same like neighborhood. You know what I mean? So, which is kind of rare, I think, in AC. I don't think too many people I know of, their parents are from the same neighborhood. Like, they might be from the same city, but mom is over here, dad is over there. You know what I mean? That type of thing. But, yeah, so I started out as an instrumentalist, learning how to play saxophone, had an alto saxophone, then I ended up getting a soprano, so I had two saxophones at one point. Always been a fan of hip hop. Hip hop was like my first, like, genre that really spoke to me the most. You know what I mean? Well, like, my mom was, like, super, like, religious and everything like that. So like I didn't get to listen to it too much. So I used to listen to other forms of music just to get my music kick. So, that's why I'm a little more proficient, like outside of just hip hop with other genres. Most people that produce, that make music, in hip hop, we just do hip hop. You know what I mean? We might know like soul records, but we sample them. We don't really know how to make a soul record. You know what I'm saying? But because I grew up listening to R&B, I listened to heard like gospel music because my mom used to go to church a lot. I heard, rock, light rock. My aunt did a couple, she did a couple like background ad lib session singing stuff for like rock people that were like indie rock people that had like their own label, their own bands. So I knew about that. You know what I mean? Like my grandparents had a nice record collection, so I was able to actually go through some of their stuff and listen to some of the stuff that they had. And and then of course, Michael Jackson, Prince. A lot of the pop stuff, that ended up, hitting the charts back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. I was listening to that too. So I'm pretty well versed, eclectic, so to speak, in terms of just music. You know what I mean? Like to me, good music is good music. Like I don't really, put a genre on what good music is. If you're good at what you do, you're good at what you do. You know what I mean? Like it's just how it is. But I think for this first episode, I wanted to really talk and touch on what's going on with streaming, because that's what we are now. When I first got into the game, you know what I mean, like trying to professionally get this thing going was like 2005. And back then it was still CDs, you know what I mean, and mixtapes, you know what I mean? Like you would, make your mixtape at the studio, go press up CDs, you know what I mean, go to a CD maker machine or, buy one. If you got a computer at home, you do it yourself. I was kind of doing it that way. Press up some copies, go out there, hit the streets, put them in people's hands, go do, open mics, battles, things of that nature, and just get your stuff out there. And that's how we did it. And then at some point, like around, I want to say like 08, 09, people were just doing MP3s pretty much, like just doing a computer, because you had LimeWire, Napster was really like, Napster kind of was on a down climb, but LimeWire kind of was holding it down because you was just getting all the stuff you were supposed to get. You know what I'm saying? So everybody started sending records and tracks that way. You know what I mean? Then we kind of just kept doing the MP3 thing, I think, for a while until, like I want to say like, because streaming started kind of like around 2012, so to speak, but it really became a thing like around 2015, where I think the record industry started paying attention to it. And I think the wild thing about streaming is that, based on a lot of stuff that we see, like for instance, like Apple pays you probably like 0.0006 or 0.0007, and Spotify is paying you like 0.00. You know what I mean? It's like it's not even a penny per play, which is wild, and it's crazy because people, especially people that are veterans in this game, have been in this game a long time, like people that go back to the vinyl phase or the tape when you played on tapes, they looking like, yo, how am I getting paid less than a penny for one person that plays the record, when if that person bought the record, I was getting probably, now I'm just saying this based on if you had if you were independent, like you was somebody like Too Short in the Bay Area, like when he was doing it, if somebody copped the record from him, if it was a single, they brought the actual record, like they paid like $5 for that joint. You know what I mean? So he made $5 off of every person, that brought a single from him. He probably made $20 off of whoever made the entire project. You know what I mean? Then he had like he had drug dealers that was like, yo, put my name on the tape, man. You know what I'm saying? They would give him like $200, $300 to put their name on the tape, so he'd get money that way too. So when you think about that, like he was making a lot of money just in that aspect back in the 80s. And then we looking at people now that's underground. It's like, yo, I'm only getting paid for a stream. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and it's less than a penny. And now we know this is 2024. So now we're into the point where Spotify started a paywall, right? I talked about this before I did this show. I wanted to bring it back up since now I got this music talk show going. The paywall is, if you're not familiar with it with Spotify, is like before if you have any plays under 1,000, it doesn't tell you exactly how many plays you got. You got to go to your distributor to find out. Like mine's is TuneCore, so I go to TuneCore to see what the actual plays are. You might be using, you might be using CD Baby. You might be using SoundCloud. You know what I mean? They do it now. You might be using United Masters. You know what I mean? There's other distribution companies that, you can now put your music on and have it streamed. But, you don't usually, on Spotify, you don't know what it is until it gets past 1,000 mark, looking at Spotify. So what they've done now is they've made a paywall where you won't get paid until you get past 1,000 mark. Now, people are asking, are you getting paid starting from zero when you get past 1,000 mark, or are you getting paid everything that was owed to you from up to the 1,000 mark? That they haven't made clear yet. I've been looking at that. If you know better, in the comments below, let us know. If they're paying you and they're just saving the money until you break that 1,000 mark, and they'll just give it to you in one pop, or they literally starting from zero once you get to 1,000. Let us know, please. But yeah, and so people were kind of pissed off about that. They're kind of like, how the hell are these going to go from? Because I was making, people were saying I was making, at least 20 cents, 30 cents, a day, when it was, from every record I was putting up that wasn't going past 1,000, and blah, 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 blah. And of course, like everybody wants their 20 cents. You know what I mean? If it's just 20 cents, like, give my damn 20 cents, man. You know what I mean? But I think what people don't realize is that the situation that they're in as a company, they've done that to preserve the life of their company, because there's only so much you can operate on the red. And operating in the red in business is when, you have a company and what you're pushing out isn't giving you more back. You know what I'm saying? Like, you putting out 80% and you're only getting back 20%, you're operating in the red. You know what I mean? Spotify is in a position where they're paying everybody that's putting up music, as at least 100,000 songs they say on average get uploaded a day. So imagine having to pay people for every little stream they get, and you're not making enough to compensate for the amount that you're paying people out. Now, granted, if they was charging people, for every time they upload it, they probably would make all their money back, but they're not allowed to do that. That's for the distribution companies to do that. You know what I mean? And even they changed their format, because at one point you were having to pay to put up a project every single time, plus every year anniversary. I know this with TuneCore. That's how they did it. Every year anniversary, you had to actually pay them again to keep that project in circulation. Well, they ended up stopping that, because I think that was really hurting a lot of people's pockets. You know what I mean? Like, for me, like, it didn't really matter at the time, because I only had like 3 projects out at the time, and it was like, so I was paying like probably like $150 a year just to keep those in circulation. You know what I mean? But some people don't have it. Like, you know what I mean? They can't afford it just to keep popping out 150 every year, or they keep adding new projects with that price is going to get higher and higher and higher until they might have to stop making music and putting it out because they're not gonna be able to, keep it in circulation. But them being smart, understanding that because there's so many people making music, we don't have to charge you an anniversary fee. Just pay this monthly fee, which is something like $25, $50, $60. You know what I mean? Or in my case, I think mine is like I think it's something like 60 a year, something like that. I think it's like $60 a year to keep everything I ever put up in circulation, and it's free for me to put it up. The only thing you're paying for is to put it in stores. And I have enough music at this point, me myself, that I was making enough money to actually not have to put money in every time I put a new project out. So I was able to actually recycle my money and just put it in, never have to use my actual extra money from my actual pocket. So the music is paying for itself at this point. So that's what you call breaking even. Like, I'm not in the green, but I'm not in the red either. I'm kind of like gray. You know what I mean? So I'm like, that's cool, but you want to get past and get to the green. Plus me doing something like this, like, trying to make myself more of a presence on social media. So I think the reason why people don't understand why Spotify did the paywall, they did the paywall, like I said, because they're in the red. Why are they in the red? Think of it this way. The music you like to listen to, majority of the time, are people that's already probably been out. They've been out since God knows how long. Your parents probably have the vinyl of the people. You know what I mean? Like, talking about Shaka Khan and the Bee Gees and, Marvin Gaye and, like just Eric Clapton, like just different people, right? Spotify doesn't own the rights to this music. So they had to literally pay the owners of the music to put the music on the platform. Thus, Universal Music Group, Warner Music Group, Sony. You know what I mean? Like, so the way the splits are, and this is the most up-to-date information I have. Like I said, if anybody has any extra information on this particular topic, like the last one before, leave it in the comment for us. You know what I mean? It's good to share information with everybody so we can all be educated and be up on one point. But from the last time I checked, I believe that on the royalty side, the big three are getting like 70% and Spotify's getting 30%. And on the pub side, they're getting 60% and Spotify's getting 40%. So Spotify's getting bullied. And on top of that, some of these companies, I think all three actually own stake in the company. So not only are they making money from the actual company's cut, they're making their money off the records that get played that they own, that's on the company. You know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of similar to the deals that artists were getting before. Like, I guess you can probably call it kind of like a 360, because it's like, how you own a piece of my company, so I'm paying you anyway to be a part of my company, and then I gotta pay you because I'm using your artist too at the same time. Like, it's like double dipping. You know what I mean? But hey, look, if it's legal, they're gonna do it. Why not? You know what I mean? So I think Spotify was like, yo, we can't keep moving at the way we're moving, so we got to put a paywall in so we can kind of capture some of this money and keep it so we can kind of fluctuate. Now, the purpose of this first episode is the take that I have is not a take that I don't think people have heard yet, because I've kind of looked around a little bit on the internet and no one's talked about it. What do you think is going to happen going forward with streaming? And what I'm saying is, like, people have a bunch of different ideas. Like, they're going to pay us better. They're going to have to find a way to concrete this. Some people are saying once they make all the money they think they can make off of this and put themselves in a $1 trillion company range, talking about the big three, then they'll probably lay off and then they'll probably change up the whole game plan. We can start making some money. That could happen. But I think, from my personal point of view, the only reason why a record company would want to buy and invest in a streaming platform distribution company is because you want to learn how they do what they do. Because I know this being that, like, my regular job is at the post office, and the post office had a deal they started back in 2012 with Amazon. And Amazon, this when they didn't have any trucks, this when they didn't have their own way to deliver their packages. They were pretty much using the post office, UPS, and FedEx. I knew when I came into the company back in 2014 when I started working for them, I knew I was like, eventually they're gonna like start doing this shit by themselves. They're not gonna keep using us. You know what I mean? Because the point was to get with us to figure out how we ship out stuff and how we maneuver and how we deliver and how we get things done. They want to see the analytics. They want to see the data. Like, data is one of the most priceable things now. Like, not jumping off topic, but SoundCloud is up for sale right now, and I think they want $2 billion for it. That's what the the owners of SoundCloud are saying. If you want to buy a SoundCloud, it'll cost you $2 billion. they're basing that on the amount of data that they have, analytics that they can provide to whoever wants to buy SoundCloud. Because once you have the analytical data, whatever company you have or whatever business you're trying to run, you can figure out the target audience, how you can market it, how you can ship it out to people, right? So I believe that the big three are actually trying to learn the streaming business, how it's running from a distribution side. Because eventually I feel like they're going to just say, you know what, it was nice playing with y'all, but come over here and check out Sony Music Streaming. You know what I'm saying? And Universal Music Streaming and Warner Music Streaming, because what's stopping them from making their own streaming platform once they figure out how it's done? They already own the masters to all these, iconic stars and some of the best, because a lot of these people are independent now, some of the people that are iconic stars, but some of their best records that they're known for were made with when they were signed to these companies. So they still own the rights to them. What's stopping them from making their own streaming site, pulling this stuff off of Apple, pulling it off of Spotify, pulling it off Tidal, saying we don't want to play ball with y'all no more. If y'all want to keep hearing Shaka Khan, you want to keep hearing Michael, you want to keep hearing this person, go to Sony, go to Universal, go to these streaming platforms, because that's where their music is going to be now, because we own it. And I think Spotify would take a hit from that. Apple, I don't think, like, they'll take a hit, but it's not a hit that matters to them, because the difference between them and the reason why they haven't done a paywall yet that I know of, and like I said, if you know any better than us about Apple having a paywall, leave it in the comment below for us. But I doubt they have a paywall because streaming is not their main source of income. Spotify, streaming is their main source of income. That's what they do. They're a streaming company. Apple, that was just like a side business they got. Their main thing is selling computers, selling laptops, selling phones. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they could care less if they're not making a lot of money from the Apple Music thing. It's like they might be in the red too, as far as we know, but I don't think they care, because it's like, all right, that's not really hurting our overall profit. Because we keep putting these phones out every 7 months, they're gonna keep buying them. We keep putting these computers out every 8 months, they're gonna buy them. Like, you know what I mean? So I think that's where their bread and butter is. So they could care less if eventually this happens and the big three pour their music off of these sites. So what's gonna happen with Spotify then? Like, and Tidal and all these other streaming platforms? I think the only thing they can do to survive is create a whole nother lane. Now think of it like all the indie people that don't want to sign a bad record deal or bad record contracts, or the contracts that just don't fit what they're trying to do. Go to these streaming platforms, go to Spotify, go to put your music out through there and work with that label, quote unquote, company. And then you got the big fish over here. They got the stuff that's already there, and the people that sign to those companies. I think you're going to see a split between major and indie. I think going down the line, you're going to probably, if you want to listen to new artists that are independent, that indie, you will be going to Spotify, Apple, Tidal, and all these places. If you want to hear the good old boys, the people that you've been listening to, that's the people that's out of here, Grammy Award winner, all that big stuff, you're gonna go right to whatever the streaming sites are, or the master recording label records that where they own it at, pretty much. Like, let's use Michael for instance. If you want to listen to Michael, you're gonna be going to Sony Music streaming site, whatever they're gonna call it. Because that's where he'll have Thriller, that's where he'll have, the Bad album, Off the Wall, all that stuff will be over there. You know what I mean? The guy that's a great singer, performer, that's indie, he's going to be on Spotify if you want to listen to him. He won't be over there. Because people are waking up and they're getting smarter, and they're understanding that these companies, as far as the big three, are not really for you on the artist side. They're not even doing artist development no more. You can forget that. You know what I mean? If you get signed and you're not like ready yet, per se, it's because you knew somebody, or somebody that's managing you knows somebody, and they were able to talk you into that building. But just because they signed you doesn't mean they're gonna put you out. You know what I mean? I guarantee you, if you look at some of the labels now that you probably know of, like off the top of your head, if you go check their roster, there's probably a bunch of people that you never even heard of. That's like, who the hell is this? Like, who's this person? Like, it's mad people on these labels that you never even heard of, because the label has no idea what to do with them yet. They just signed them because they knew they were talented, and they probably knew somebody in the business that was vouching for him. Like, yo, this person's dope. Like, all right, he's dope, or she's dope. All right, we don't know what to do with him yet, so we'll just sit him right here, and then when we figure it out, we'll put him out. And I remember, shout out to Ray Daniels. He's a music executive. He's got his own podcast. I think it's called The God Show. Like, he made a statement about, the game is effed up because a lot of the money people are trying to get rid of people like him. You know what I mean? The guys who know how to break an artist, the guys who know how to make an artist a superstar. Because a lot of these labels, they when they sign the talent, they don't know how to make these people a superstar. You know what I mean? So at this point, you're almost, the way he made it sound, like you're almost better off like being indie, because you have to go through your bumps and bruises anyway. At least you have control over what you're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, now, as far as the streaming thing goes, like, to get your streams up, like, there's so many like shit out here. Like, excuse my French, but it's just like, it's annoying because you want to market yourself, right? Like, that's one of the biggest things that gets you going in marketing. You can be as talented as you want, but you want to market yourself. The problem is trying to market yourself and not get hit with spam, like, you know what I mean, or not get flagged by Spotify or one of these companies because you thought you were paying for somebody to, to push your, your music, and all they did was use bots. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want that to happen to you. So I think the struggle of being an indie person is trying to figure out who are the real marketing people. Because it's one thing to know about marketing. It's another thing to know, if that's not your strength, to find the person that's their strength. Because one thing I'll tell you right off the bat, like, one of the things I've learned over the past couple years is like, like, you gotta hire people. You have to hire people. There's no way you're just gonna do everything by yourself and think you're gonna be successful. Like, if your thing is making music and it's not marketing, you gotta hire somebody that does the marketing. But you gotta hire somebody real. Like, don't hire somebody that we can get you, 5,000 plays. Well, how you gonna give me the 5,000 plays? Like, where you gonna put it at? Like is 5,000 people gonna actually look at it, or is it in front of 20,000 people and you're saying at least 5,000 to press play? Like, how are you gonna, like? Because I don't want the robots like playing the button. That doesn't help with analytics. It doesn't help you when you get to the merch side and you trying to actually sell merch, because having robot plays doesn't translate when you trying to sell merch, because that's not real people listening to the music. It's not real people connecting with you. You know what I mean? So yeah, like, marketing is a huge thing, and I think, this is my opinion, I think, like, whatever your distribution that you're using to put out your music, whether it be TuneCore, United Masters, CD Baby, whatever, if they have a program that does marketing, I would probably look more into detail in dealing with that, because at least with them, it's not going to be a bot. You know what I'm saying? And if it is somehow a bot, because you have your music on their platform, they're not going to flag you because it's their platform. Like, they know what they're doing on their platform. They're not going to penalize you for whatever they're doing behind closed doors. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably the best way to go, in my opinion. If you don't already know, like, somebody that's a big wig in the industry that does marketing and they know all the tricks in the trade without using the cheap machine stuff. And last but not least, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think for this first episode, I'm just going through the motion. Last but not least, I think I saw that I saw that two things caught me off guard, right? Two things caught me off guard. I looked at the top 5, because we're talking about streaming, right? So I was thinking, like, who's really still selling like projects, like who's buying albums? Because streams and sales is not the same thing. Like, I got Spotify, I can go listen to such and such, project that came out. It doesn't mean I bought it. Like, it doesn't count as a sale. Like, they want to count it as a sale because I might have played it a few times. I played it 7 or 8 times. They'll count it as one record buy. I'm like, but I didn't physically buy the project. I don't own, like, I can't just, you know what I mean? Like, but who's still physically buying music? And if they are, what people are actually selling? And I looked at 2023, the top 5 albums that sold, they were occupied by 3 artists. Like, the top 5 albums that sold last year, they were all multi-platinum albums. They were occupied by 3 artists. The same person that was in spot number 1 was in spot number 5. The same person that was in spot number 2 was in spot number 4. And then the third person was in spot number 3. You know what I mean? And none of them were hip hop. You know what I mean? The person in spot number 3 was an R&B artist, and the other 2 were country. So country people are still buying actual albums and physical products. The funny thing about it is, album number 4 was a re-release. Like, this artist, she actually, she had her master soul behind her back to somebody else. And she talked about it on an award show, how it was real slimy because they didn't even call her to ask her that she want to buy it. And she ended up, I think somebody pulled her to the side and said, hey, you can just re-record all this stuff because you wrote the music. You're the writer and you're the composer. Just redo everything and then put out your version. Just call it your version of this album. And that's literally what she did. And that album went number 4 in sales. I think it sold about 3 million copies. And that says a lot. about where the game is, thinking back to what Ray Daniels was saying about how effed up the game is, it's so bad that somebody that's a real talent can re-release the same album they put out 9 years ago or whenever I think it came out. I think it was called 2015, but I don't know if it was in 2015, but they can put out the same album and it still goes 3 times platinum. And I'm pretty sure she added probably 1 or 2 songs, new songs, whatever, to let people know, but it was a re-release. Her re-release outsold people's new shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then the guy that was #1, I never even heard of him, but I'm not that, versed in who all the up and coming, or the new country singers are. You know what I'm saying? But he apparently he was killing it. Like, this new album he put out was #1, and the one that was in fifth place. That was an album he had released, I think, the year before, and it still was selling. So an old album still made it into the top 5. Like, his old album beat other people's new shit. You know what I mean? Like, so it just goes to show. And I don't think these guys are the country singers. I don't think they're signed to these machines. And if they are signed to these machines, I don't think their deal is the same way. I think their deal is they still have creative control over what they want to do, and they decide when they drop. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about on this first episode. I think on episode 2, I'm going to talk about independent labels. I think the perspective on those, because I heard some interesting information about Cash Money, how they were set up and how that business runs, and then talk about other known indie labels that partner with the machine. I think that'd be dope. You know what I mean? But I appreciate you guys if you made it this far. In this episode, it's episode 1. I'm gonna try to do a few of these. You know what I mean? Like, probably maybe once a week. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you got any ideas or topics you think I should talk about in terms of music, whether it be like culturally, music theory. You know what I mean? Or just the business of music itself and where it's at, where it's going, what can happen, how you can maneuver through it, how to learn about it, things of that nature. Yeah, put in the comments below, man. If you like this, hit the like button for me. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. I got some new things coming. You know what I mean? I'll put the information in down below in rickshon.com so you can find all the albums that I have, instrumental albums, the different projects I have that I put out on YouTube, and the different singles I got too. You know what I mean? Because I'm a producer first now. You know what I mean? I used to just be an artist, but I do both. But I lean more to the producer side because I have more fun doing that. But yeah, so appreciate you guys for watching, man. Keep watching, man. Tune in. Appreciate it.
For all time.